Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Francisco. Thanks for coming to the studio today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
So, yeah,
So,
no, just kind of wanted to, you
well,
know,
how's it going? You doing okay?
good. Yeah, no, good.
That's my biggest problem with, people, employees and stuff. It's like, okay, can you just, oh, I'm sorry. How's your day? How was your weekend? How's everything? That's just not me. If you do a disc testing, I'm straight to the point. And if you do facial analysis, that Brian Galke, one of the guys I know, Galke, he, tell you that I'm straight to the point and how to deal with me, but other people want all this niceties and how you doing, and sometimes I forget.
Got to
So
break it in. Yeah, got to break it in. But no, yeah, I just wanted to specifically kind of just ask you as well, right? Like, uh, what kind of things are you looking for? When you're helping someone go through like their credit and all that stuff. Like, what are the main issues you do typically see?
well, first thing I would say to do is mark your calendar for February 14th when my book comes out, and in the first chapter is under here, can you read that? Is under the first chapter is all about credit, and it breaks down everything we look at and everything. But until then, first thing I would tell you to do, forget anything about credit at first. Go do this first. Go to optoutprescreen.com and opt out of all credit offers that you get when somebody runs your credit report. That any of the free, they look at your credit, know what it is. Opt out of all that. That's what first thing you do. Second thing you do is put your cell phone, your landline, everything on the do not call registry. Go in there, put it on there, and you register your phone. It's free. There's nothing to it. You have to, it takes 31 days. So see that right there, 31 days. So I'm thinking about buying a home. First thing right here. Or even if you're not even thinking about buying a home right now, go do this right now. Opt out of all the, so do not call lists. Then nobody can call you because of that. And the other thing is, again, optoutprescreen.com, and they'll get rid of all the offers that you don't, opt out firm offers a credit insurance, and that's, you won't get anything. Oh, by the way, we were looking at your credit and we saw that you wanted this. And that means when we run the credit, whether it's a hard pull, you won't get all the phone calls.
Right.
And you won't. So can I have and we do soft pulls, but some right now we can't run AUS, that's automated underwriting, for Govy loans because everything we do is fully underwritten approvals, right? Pre-approval. So when you go on the contract and it says checks a box, pre-qual, pre-approval, or fully underwritten, we do the fully underwritten. In order to do that on Govies, it's a hard pull, unfortunately, still to this day, but that can change by the time we're done talking here.
Yeah. No, and I even
you good with all this? Anything else here, or I can go back to us?
No, yeah, we go back to us. I think
remember, pre-screen and do not call. 31 days for this to work. So
right. And it helps out a lot too. I mean, you're already busy with work. We're already trying to figure everything out, help you get to home ownership, So a lot of that, it gets really convoluted. And, but yeah, I actually, I was reading some of your book,
No, you didn't.
I did. And it's really good.
Are you messing with me?
No. I read, I want to say, I didn't read too much, right? I read like 5-10 pages. But wow. even just with that, like seriously, it was, it was just really like a really easy read.
That's the hope. I did it. Yeah, I did it that way. I did a story in the beginning and then broke it down and what it was about.
Which that story too. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons that I always tell everybody, don't listen to the noise and just purchase as soon as you can, because realistically, I've seen it happen to so many people, even people that like, man, when I had just barely gotten into it, that still haven't been able to buy, but they definitely could have bought, those initial, that initial time. And, it's sad also because for some people it ends up being like unobtainable
right
after a certain time.
Right.
And that's always, the scary part. And that's what I tell everybody too, is that is exactly why, you don't listen to what's going on in everyone else's world, or you don't listen to what's going on in the world in general.
And you only listen to people who bought homes.
Right. Yeah. That's the biggest one too. I mean, even some people that, and it's funny because like
we kind of got off a tangent here. We got to go back to credit because that's what you asked me for.
Right. No, yeah. But the book, amazing. Anyway, so with credit,
just grab another chapter, read it, and see what it is. All right. But
yeah,
I had a good friend of mine read it, and she texted me, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so good." Blah blah blah. My whole purpose was to help somebody, and before it was even through the third editing process, I had on there was a note from one of the copywriter / editors who said she's in the process of buying home in the next year and how much my book helped her. So,
Yeah,
and it was
awesome.
even a book yet. It was just a manuscript at that time.
Yeah. No,
And I'm like, can I have my 1999, please?
No, and it's like I said, I mean, it's just super
Easy.
yeah, and it's very intriguing. You know, even like with that first story, I mean, it was a really good hook.
Well, no, it's just about I want people in. I didn't want a huge book. I didn't want, one of those Moby Dick books or, thick and a pamphlet. I wanted it right in the middle. And so that's kind of what I did. I want you to be able to sit down, understand because what we do is not that big of a deal. We try to make it so big of a deal so that we're so important, when in reality, it's not that big of a deal. That's why the most important thing, I started with credit first, because credit's the most important thing. Yeah. And no other time in history has credit been so important. Right now, 75% of all deals has a 700 or higher FICO score. Where if you go back to 2008, it was complete opposite. All 75% of the deals had under a 640 FICO score, around a 640 FICO score.
Right. And right now, like you said, just how important it is, even
price wise.
Right. Well, like when it comes down to interest rates, like a lot of people, like that's where, they're waiting for the interest rate to go down. They're just waiting, but why not also be proactive and find ways that you can, get your interest rate lower by having better credit. And, it's one of those things where I know you do it, but not every lender will help with that.
Right.
Like
it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we don't go through and help you get rid of collections because we don't want you to touch collections. Because if you touch them, then it updates them, and then now it's hitting you as a recent one, and it's going to affect you more. You follow me? So there's a lot of stuff you don't do. Like I was talking earlier this week where on a VA I had, this person had a 626 FICO score. If I could have just got him to 640, it's almost a point difference in interest rate.
It's a huge difference. And people don't, understand that, like, again, while you're just waiting on the sidelines, there are people doing that already. Right. There are people that are actually equipping themselves to be 100% ready, because it's going to happen, out of nowhere.
It's already happening. People just don't know it. It's going to be hindsight. Oh, that happened. Yeah, because it already went by you. It's like a freight train coming. You just can't stop it. Yeah. And the issue is going to be with credit. The easiest thing to do is just keep your balances lower. The perfect number is 10%, but not everybody can do 10%. So I say 30%. Not even in my book says 30%, even though they really want 10%. And I used to tell people, go ahead and pay it off before, your due date. And then that would be good for you. But doing the book and doing some research, I found out that was the worst thing you can do, because then they think you're not utilizing the credit card and you're going to get inactive on it. No, so you want to keep a little balance on there at all times.
Yeah, no, I definitely could vouch for that, because I've had, like, I've started my credit, I want to say, like, it was like right when I started like working, like officially, like out of high school and stuff.
4 years ago, or was that like
it was like 6 years ago? Oh. No, like 5-6 years ago. I had started it all up, and you're right, because like I was always big. Like, I was like, I don't want to pay interest, and like on your credit scores, or it always says like the
ignore that.
You back. Well, that's
they say the same on everybody, dude.
Right, because I've even seen, like, with my parents, they've had their credit for like a long time, and even for them it says like what's one of the things, it's the
history of credit and how and how you do your balances, pay your bill. It's a generic statement. That's not really what the issue is. When we run it, it tells us how much more your score can go up, and we can go in there and do these what ifs, and it tells us how much more we, realistically how easy it is to get up. But the easiest way is just keep your balances down, which if you carry high balances and then you pay them down to almost nothing, like that could be 100 points. Right. And that's that we understand, because you're carrying debt and things could happen. There's just so much. And then right now it's still working. I talk about in the book that authorized users, it's still good for like another 8 to 10 months. And eventually it's going to go away. But get on with, if your family members, if your mom and dad can't help you with a down payment, or they want to help you, but they don't have the money, we understand, but they have credit cards, and low balances they've had for years, get on as an authorized user. You'll get that credit from it. They won't get the credit card. Just tell them to send it to the house. And now you've gotten the 20-year history of credit. Fannie and Freddie's coming after me. You're doing mortgage. And I'm like, no, you're helping out your kid. How's that bad?
Right.
Right.
And for a lot of people, it's also a great starting point. A lot of the times people don't have any established credit, and then they, starting from zero it could take a lot of time.
Right. But you can get and another thing I tell them to do is get a few. The first story was about how I got somebody to do 3 secure credit cards. A lot of people go, 3? Why do you? It's like, it doesn't matter the limit. Do 25, 250, 250, 250. Keep it low. It doesn't matter. Now you got 3 trade lines of history of credit you're building instead of just one at 750.
Right.
Right. And the other thing is to add the rent onto your credit report, not through Experian Boost, because we don't look at that as lenders. That does not go into the calculation for credit for score with our algorithm that we use. Not just us. I'm talking to everybody in the mortgage industry and the banking industry when it comes to doing loans. It's not included, but there are companies who you pay $197 and they'll add as a trade line on your actual credit report that we will use. Nice. And that's like 40 points just with that.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I did not know that at all. That's like, so the way that works.
And that's just, you could be renting a room from your family or somebody, as long as they fill it out and says that you've been paying rent.
So you just got to,
doesn't have to be on the tax return. Doesn't have to be that. That's not what they're looking at. They're looking for a trade line saying you're paying rent.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that.
It takes about 45 days. So again, pre-app, do the do not call list, opt out, pre-screened. And let's add on the rent to your credit report, and we can get you on a couple authorized users. And in 45 days from now, you're ready to go, and you probably have a 700 plus FICO score. Now you're in a totally different game when it comes to what you can do. You can do conventional with 3% down instead of FHA, and that allows you up higher on loan amount, and you're not competing with all the FHA buyers.
Yeah, that's nice. And how do you do that?
How do you do what?
Do the adding the rent on. You said
we have a form that we give you that you call them, and it's a PDF, so they can reach out to me at ed@edparcaut.com, or that's the easy one, and ask, hey, I want that form, and I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
It's easy. It's a PDF. I don't make any money off of it. It's just a service I offer. They came to us. There's a couple companies now doing it, where before there was only one. And before that, none. Mm-hmm. And now it's a huge difference. And now you hear on TV about Experian at doing it. Put it on there and increase your stuff. It does for the boost, but we don't utilize that. So that might work for car payments and other stuff, but not for us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We need the serious credit, right?
Yeah. Well, why it's so important. I mean, during the pandemic, they moved the minimum FICO score up to 660 on a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Where 620 and below, you couldn't do anything in it. And prior to that, it was good. You could have a lower FICO score and it was not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Credit helps you leverage money too, because then, when you have those higher credit, those higher credit scores, then you can also start going into like down payment assistance, things like that.
Well, you have to, a lot of that, like Cal Haffen is a 645, right? And certain things. Not that I like that program because it's a state program, and I think that they're ripping you off when they have you, because the rate on those things is so high. And
that's what I tell people. If you can afford it, do it.
Yeah, there's eventually we'll get to a point where you could do one of those programs where you can say, hey, I need money for a down payment, and you put the thing out there and people send you money for your down payment. I'm talking about those when people need money. What's that called? When they do those things on Facebook and all that stuff.
Man, I've seen, I even get emails about stuff like that too,
Oh, really?
Like, just like, yeah, and a lot of the times, that's why it's like we're saying, even right now, considering that, right? Like a lot of people, like if you're struggling right now and you don't have, you just got the down payment, like now is the time. Now is the time, go out.
Because you don't need your closing costs, where before you needed it all, you couldn't get it. Right. And nobody was taking DPAs, down payment system. Yes, there's programs out there, and they're based, because the cities and those kind of things really don't have them, but some of them have them where it's based off the rate. But again, your higher rate gets you that down payment. Well, maybe talk to your family, help you out. And, when people give you a gift, sometimes you give them a gift of the same amount or more back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Figure that out. Have them come in and help you on the property and split equity. There's ways to do it to get you in.
Yeah. And I mean, and I know we're, again, like I said earlier, just everyone's wanting to be really independent. The other day, I actually spoke with this couple and they're like, oh no, we're really big. They're like, we're out, still a few more months. They're like, but we don't want to ask, for anything. And that's fine. That is totally fine. But sometimes that helping hand will put you, in a much, much better position. So don't be afraid, just ask.
So I'm a vet and I deal with a lot of vets, and vets are horrible about asking for help after they get out, but they always ask for help, air coverage and other stuff when they're in, on the field and needing help. It's the same thing here. Just talk to your parents, talk to some people and say, hey, we're this close. Could you help us? If they can't, that's okay. We get it. But again, go back to them and say, add me onto your credit cards.
Yeah. Get some help.
Because that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't do anything. And it's, for a short time period, I can't even talk. For a short time, it's going to keep going and it'll still be here. But probably by the end of the year, they're going to stop letting it happen. So,
yeah.
All right. Thanks. That was a big thing about credit, and stop waiting. I think that's the two themes that we've had this week with you is stop. Why are you still waiting? Stop it. Get into contract and do your credit before you do anything else. Another thing, I do not call list and the opt-out pre-screen. Go to those, get them done before you do anything else.
Yeah. You'll be a really strong buyer. You'll be considered a lot more too, because you're also going to be able to just have more options disposable to you. And also, like I said, it's just creating a more streamlined process throughout the whole, home purchase.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Easy for you to say.
Right.
All right. All right. Thanks for coming in today, Francisco.
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks for you watching what we do here. We really appreciate it. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, definitely. Anytime too. Always feel free to reach out. We got Ed at Parcaut.com. Me, Francisco Ruvalcaba. My phone number is 209-493-2400. Feel free to call or text at any time.
That's right. And make it a great